Hey, where's the sign-in sheet? We have it. You get Mr. Fraser's out there. No problem. We understand. 30 days ahead. All set. Okay, I'm gonna let Miss Susie call the roll for us real quick, just check in.
Willie Campbell,
Here.
Patty Woodby,
Here.
Ronnie Trivet,
Here.
Isaiah Grindstaff,
Here.
Ross Garland,
Here.
Travis Hill,
Here.
Ray Lyons is absent, Kelly Collins.
Aaron Fraser is sitting in for Ray Lyons, please.
You are, okay. Thank you.
All right, looks like we're all here. Do want to remember Miss Culler, the passing of her mother. I think doing this each time I sit up here every week, it seems like that her mother passed, and I think they put her to rest today. Just certainly want to remember her and lift her up in our thoughts and prayers again, and the ones that have passed just recently. So we need some good vibes right here. Hopefully this budget will come through. We're looking good. But adopted agenda, let's see, we got some additions to this. Anybody on the committee have anything to add before I start? I've got a couple. We want to get insurance on there, talk about it. Okay. Under new business, let's go, let's see, under the last bullet for approval of early retirement, we're going to add insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be. I know Michael has some. Insurance provider, let's call it that.
Thanks, sir.
And then, under the sheriff's department, contract to secure us for inmate telephone service. Captain Smith would also like to add a couple of donation of vehicles from their department to some other interlocal agencies. So we'll put that on there as well. And I think that's all I have.
Motion to accept?
Second. Motion by Mr. Fraser, second by Mr. Hill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to the minutes, April 8th, 2019 meeting. I hear a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Grindstaff, your second? Second. Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Minutes are approved. And public comments, move on to that. Mr. Livingston, we'll give you 5 minutes, sir, or less.
Please, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
I just want to check out here and see if we right what was been thinking and reading is the benefit package for all the employees and stuff. Is it part of their compensation? It is. Okay. All right, that's all. Thank you.
all right, thank you, sir. Anyone else, public comments, like to speak? All right, we'll close the floor on that. Old business, nothing to bring up. New business, got several items right there, and we'll start with Mitch Miller from NetRed, please. We did have this Lisa Summers, I think's her name. She was here with us this past month.
Was correct. We'll have to ask real quick, and we'll dive into a presentation here and offer up any questions. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's on. Just be sure to talk to you.
Okay. If y'all have trouble hearing me, just let me know. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Mitch Miller. I'm the CEO of the Northeast Tennessee Regional Economic Partnership. Wanted to kind of provide some clarity based on the last meeting. I know Ross and I had traded some text messages just as I left out of town last week. And Alicia came. Do want to apologize. She was a little underprepared for that. not quite sure of some of the issues and concerns. So, in watching the feedback from the video and talking to her and also talking with John Hartman, wanted to try to clarify any questions that you all may have. So, if there's additional information you feel you may need, please let me know. But I want to dive into this to kind of give you some insight as to who we are, our organization, what we do, the impact it has in Carter County from an ROI standpoint. And if you want to go ahead and flip over to page 2, just a quick overview of our organization. Basically, we provide a united approach to regional economic development. We encompass 3 counties. Carter being one of those, Unicoi and Washington County is identified by the federal government as the Johnson City Metro. So that's ultimately why we looked at that 3-county MSA, and economies are regional. There's a lot of folks in this room. I know Ross is one of those that lives in Carter County that goes over to Johnson City every day to work. So from that perspective, money made in one county also translates into money spent in another county. Some of the things that we will focus on with our program of work is 5 key initiatives. Retaining and expanding existing companies. We pride ourselves on making sure that we work with our companies, whether they're in Carter, Unicoi, or Washington, to understand their needs, try to address that, and work with them to help them expand, or if they're having issues with labor force. So a great program that we created out of a labor force challenge was a program called Talent Connect. So we've targeted 23 universities in the Southeast that have engineering programs. And we actually go out and invite these students in to see what it's like to be a young professional here in the Metro for a weekend. They get to visit companies like Snap-on who partner in that program and see what it's like to work there. They talk to John Carley and Robin Pritchard who work there at Snap-on, the plant manager and HR manager. They get to meet some of the young professionals that work there and see what they like to do on the weekend, whether it's hiking, going to listen to music, or even going to get a craft brew. So really engaging on that side, we created that program. Snap-on is one of those that actually invests $5,000 a year to be part of that program. It's a good way for us to create a talent pipeline and deliver people directly to their doorstep. Marketing as a whole, part of what I was doing last week was talking site consultants in partnership with the Tennessee Valley Authority, talking about the region, making sure that when they think about our metro, that we're at the top of their list to talk about some of the sites that we have or the workforce in general. Site development and infrastructure, I'll talk about that a little bit later in our presentation here, but it's important from a governmental standpoint and from our standpoint to go out and secure grant funding or at least identify sites that we can actually go out and recruit companies. If we're selling out of an empty wagon, I hate to just be honest with you guys, but you're not going to do anything. We have to be more proactive with getting sites ready and available. Asset development and talent attraction, again, that's a piece of really looking at the outdoors. I know Commissioner Acuff talked about this at the last meeting and watching playback on that. We've got someone dedicated in our office, Kayla Carter, that focuses on building relationships with the Forest Service, with user groups, whether it's SORBA, whether it's Over Mountain Travel Unlimited, really trying to promote a lot of the assets that we have, because that's the best thing that we have to actually attract people here. It's part of the reason I live here. One of my favorite things to do is make sure I go out with my son when I have him on a weekend, and we go hiking. Just getting him out, getting him acclimated, because that's something I didn't have growing up in Charlotte. I think that's an asset that truly makes this region special. And lastly, regional stakeholder and community relations. So one of the questions on the next page, number 3, is looking at the public sector annual investment. I wanted to give you guys a breakdown really of, from the public sector standpoint, what type of dollars are being invested. The City of Johnson City invests $220,000 annually. Washington County right in behind at $151,206. Unicoi County is a little different. They have a joint economic and community development board where all their funding actually goes through. And from there, a stipend is actually allocated out to net rep. Carter County as a whole has given $40,000 annually, and Elizabeth is at $35,000. That's really the breakdown. As far as coming up to a specific number, how $40,000 was there, my communication with Mayor Humphreys when he was here in office when Network was created, that was the money that was allocated to economic development. That's how we ultimately settled on that $40,000 amount. On page 4, it kind of gives you an organizational chart. I thought that might be helpful to see who we have on staff and what they actually do. So we have a board of directors. We're a public-private partnership. Mayor Barnett actually sits on our board and is a voting member representing Carter County. And that board overall sees our strategic planning, oversight, and is responsible for me having a job. So I answer to them directly. I talk about the activity that we're doing as a whole from a region, and ultimately they help chart that course of work and what we're doing in that program. Some of our advisory boards that we look at and work on is product development. What I mean by that is really trying to identify sites, seeing where we can invest dollars on our end, but also encourage governments to invest dollars as well to acquire sites, get them ready. Our outdoor task force, that is one that Kayla Carter actually heads up on her end. It's an 8-county initiative looking at Northeast Tennessee. primary goals of the outdoor task force really is looking at the talent attraction side, making sure that we're having people move to our area. I don't know, you probably all have heard about this regionalism movement to a higher degree, whether it's reading the Elizabeth Star, the Johnson City Press, or the Times News recently. But we as a region, we're not growing. And if we're not producing people, we're not going to get companies. We're not going to have our businesses expand here. So we have to play to our assets, and that's really a key initiative of that task force. And also Talent Connect, as I mentioned earlier, is another one of those committees. It's made up of HR members across the region who all participate in that program. And again, Snap-on is one of those. With me and my job, my main focus and responsibility is management my staff, the strategic planning of the organization, really trying to focus on product development, and also relationship building with allies such as the State of Tennessee's Department of Economic and Community Development, TVA, site selectors, and other organizations made throughout the region and outside of the region. We met Alicia Summers last week. She's our VP of Business Development. She's our primary link to work with our companies that are here and also companies that are looking to locate here. Underneath her, we also have a research and existing business manager, Michelle Black. She does all of our maps, analyzes data. Really, when site consultants are looking at actually locating a business here or companies trying to expand, really trying to showcase some of the key amenities, key statistics, demographics, whatever it is possible, putting that in the illustration on a map. That's really Michelle's job. And then we also have an organization underneath our umbrella called the Johnson City Development Authority. That's part of why you see Johnson City's commitment so high that it is. And it's focused on a lot of things from events to downtown growth in Johnson City. And that's an initiative that Johnson City has had for probably about 15 to 20 years. On the other side, excuse me, I'm battling a cold, so apologize for the sniffle. On the other side, we have our VP of Finance Administration, Ryan Schupa. Ross had mentioned he's a Carter County native. Ryan basically makes sure that the different books and audits are done properly in our organization. Altogether, we have 4 organizations that fall underneath our umbrella. So there's a lot of different books, a lot of different dollars transitioning in. Ryan makes sure that he keeps everything straight on that side. And then underneath him is Kayla Carter. She's our outdoor development manager, as I talked about some of the things she's doing with the task force. So I think you all probably have a pretty good idea on the outdoor side. I know as Commissioner Acuff talked about, you probably read more about it because it gets a lot more of the headlines. But I did want to talk about the business support in Carter County, give you all kind of some insight and understanding of some of the things that we've been able to do with companies here, whether it's locating a new company or helping our existing companies. Allied Dispatch, it's a company we recruited here to help it out in Bullard. Basically, it's a roadside assisted call center. When we were talking about the initial creation of NetRef, when they ultimately came in, it took some time to get our organization off the ground until 2017. This is one that we worked with, found a great location working with Alex Borla to put over 400 people right there in that facility. They are continuing to grow, and they're such a regional employer. They purchased a building in Johnson City where ultimately they will put their headquarters and have about 25 jobs, but they've also partnered with the state of Tennessee, and we're going to have 100 jobs in Hancock County, which is probably the most distressed county that we have in the entire state of Tennessee. So they really are true regional partners and want to stay committed, but their bulk of their workforce is in Carter County and will remain in Carter County. Another one we worked on was AY McDonald. I know Alicia has talked about that, but it's one of the more recent company expansions. That was an $8 million expansion, 100,000 square feet. I'll talk about that a little on the next slide in more detail. Snap-on is one that we've worked with. We've been meeting with John Carley. We really appreciate the fact that this commission, as well as the city of Elizabeth, and committed to put funding in there to help secure the additional site next door so they can expand. And we're hopeful the environmental works out well where they ultimately will decide to expand here in this community. As we talked about, they're a partner of Talent Connect. That's $5,000 every year that they put in trying to get a talent pipeline directly to their door. And then on a more entrepreneurial scale, we have a program that we work on called Co-Starters. And it's really helping encourage entrepreneurs invest, realize their dream of creating a business. 2 companies that have been part of that program that are located here in Carter County, Riverside Tap House and Appalachian Sun Brewery. And Riverside Tap House actually received a $3,000 grant from the Johnson City Development Authority, one of our organizations. And again, that organization primarily focuses on Johnson City, but they give an Elizabeth and Company a $3,000 grant to start an operation. I want to talk a little bit more about AY McDonald on the next page, page 6. Again, an $8 million expansion, 36 jobs, 100,000 square feet of additional space. Kind of giving a breakdown of what that means. The AY McDonald expansion for the county in terms of value, I mean $24,700 annual real property tax revenue increase. about $35,000 in personal property tax revenue increase, and a total of $59,700 in additional revenue going into the general fund. Payroll impact is looking at about $2.5 million in additional payroll, and then additional 13 spin-off jobs will come from that 36. This is using a program called M-Plan. Basically, it helps us determine what the economic impact is of any project based on criteria of jobs, wage rates, economic impact of investment, and really giving a true perspective as what that's going to mean over the course of time. Anticipated GDP, gross domestic product, which you want that number continuing to grow up because it means you have a strong economy, is estimated to add another $11.6 million into the economy here. I want to talk about that specifically because Alicia, who was here last week, she helped secure a $250,000 incentive for A.Y. McDonald. I know if John Hartman were here, he would also reiterate this, that I don't think A.Y. McDonald would be here if it wasn't for Alicia helping them secure that grant to the state. It's a competitive business, and ultimately, when companies have locations across the U.S., they're going to go where they make the most profit. And we have to look at it from that perspective from a business standpoint. So that's our way of trying to protect our economy and our base here. Also, on the next page, I want to give you kind of an idea of the regional impact. As we talk about economies are regional, I look back at the last 7 company expansions dating from 2017 to 2019 that we've been able to work on. One of those was in Carter County with A.Y. McDonald, but the other 6 actually were between Unicoi and Washington counties. A total of 1,349 employees ultimately were going to be impacted by that and hired by that. 459 actually are Carter County residents based on the actual job descriptions and also in reaching out to each of those companies on their, I can think of the word, on their employment role. 459 actually have a Carter County zip code. And again, the only one company in Carter County that's listed in this is A.Y. McDonald. If you take the average annual wage for Carter County of $35,737 and you multiply that out by the 459, that's $1.6 million in additional payroll for Carter County residents. That's a good way to really look at an impact and ROI based on, all right, if we've helped these companies expand and this many people are actually living in Carter County based on the average annual wage, an additional $1.6 million in payroll is right here living in Carter County. They may be working in another community, but guess what? They're buying gas, they're buying groceries, they own a home here, they're paying their taxes here. That's impact directly to your general fund and your bottom line as a county government. And if you want to look at it from an ROI standpoint based on the $120,000 that Carter County has invested in the net rev, just looking at that payroll figure, that's a 92% profit margin for you guys. At the end of the day, payroll is what matters. We all look at our paycheck that we get every week or every other week. We know how we spend and the spending patterns that come with it. We often relate to that. Some of the other things we do that I know some of you have been at, recognition of the industry milestone awards. Try to make a point every year to recognize the companies for years of service, primarily focusing on the industry side of things. Here are 3 that we recognized recently with Boiler Performance, 10 years in business, Right Screen, 25 years in business, and International Paper with 65 years in business. Those are all Carter County companies. So I want to dispel this notion that, the idea is that $40,000 of economic development funding goes to the net rev and all of a sudden we're magically going to recruit a company. It takes a lot more than that, guys. And I'm being honest and open when I say this. A great example that I can look at is the Washington County Industrial Park. As we talk about, Washington County has provided $151,000 each year to net rev, and for them, the Washington County Economic Development Council to carry out an economic development program. So as we talk with them about recruiting companies, one of the key things that we really looked at is the acquisition of property and getting that property ready. So back in 1997, the Joint Economic and Community Development Board of Washington County initially purchased 3 sites out in the Washington County Industrial Park. They saw some success landing 3 companies, all 3 international companies, and in 2011, some additional land was purchased. So from 2011 to 2015, not a thing happened in that park. The state of the economy really started to change, and also too, companies were looking at ways they could reduce risk and make a profit that much sooner. That's how the business world works. We all know that. So in order for us to get competitive, we had to turn cow pasture land into a site-ready, ready-to-go industrial park for companies to come in to see utilities were in place, that we had a substation in place that could feed power directly to that site, and also too that it was flat and we could cut off at least 6 to 8 months of great time. That's how this business works. So if we don't have a product that we can sell, again, we're selling at an empty wagon. We're not going to make money. So ultimately, we worked with the Washington County Commission, and they committed up to $1.172 million to go to that project. Our organization kicked in another $250,000. And then we went after grants. We got a $350,000 grant from TVA, and then the Department of Economic and Community Development awarded us a $473,000 grant to get those sites ready. 2018, ultimately the site work was completed, and then on Thursday we're going to announce out of the industrial park. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's something that we have to invest in, that we have to stay persistent in, and if you think it's going to magically happen, it's just mistaken. I'm being honest and as transparent as I possibly can be when I say that. It is important that you invest beyond just $40,000, that you really take the time to really think, where do we want to go as a county? I know last year, I believe it was, or 2 years ago, a study was done by the First Tennessee Development District where key initiatives that came out of that between the Carter County Commission, at least under Leon's watch with that. I don't know who all participated in it, but there's another group that's meeting tomorrow to kind of follow up from that. Was looking at trying to secure $100,000 to $200,000 a year to put back for site development. To my knowledge, that has not happened. But that's something that ultimately that I would encourage you guys to all look at and figure out a way that you can do it. Because that's going to ultimately land jobs and investment right here in Carter County. Another great example when looking on the scale of regionalism, Erwin, Tennessee. That is a great example. As I talked about, $50,000 from the Joint Economic Community Development Award in Unicoi County goes into our funding. They've done a lot more than just investing $50,000. They purchased a former Morgan installation facility and committed funding totaling $1.5 million. Ultimately, they were able to get $800,000 in grants to help clear that site, to bring down the silos, and prep it for a new business. One of the other major commitments that they've made over the years, dating back to 2014, is investing over $3.5 million in new streetscaping and downtown utility work in downtown Irwin. We've seen great new entrepreneurial type businesses open up because of that, like Irwin Outdoor Supply, What's the Scoop, Union Street Tap Room. What's the Scoop actually was one of the co-starter companies as well that is located in Irwin that went through that program that we administered. And then they've also been able to get a lot of young professionals in their community because they've seen their governments actually investing in their community to step up to the plate. Rise Irwin is a great example where they created the Irwin Outdoor Festival. And that just took place this past week and they had a great, great turnout. I'm a big believer in community engagement. And probably one of the things I don't do enough is toot the horn of our organization. And I'll apologize and I'll probably need to be here a heck of a lot more and I'll talk about that in the next slide. I do want to take some time to talk about some key things that were talked about this past week as well. Erica Malpas, she is our stewardship coordinator. She's a AmeriCorps position. We specifically brought her on to assist with Kayla to get out in our communities and make sure that we're doing things that are going to enhance our natural environment. If we're going to invest in the outdoors and actually have somebody that's promoting that and talking about how that's a key driver down the road, we also need to be there with the volunteers that are helping clean this place up and make this place beautiful. Erica's highlighted the T-Berry cleanup in that first photo you see there. Also, I've got a quote from the Elizabethan Star, the Doe River cleanup as well that she was part of this past week as well. And then when NetRep was created back in 2017, $5,000 of our initial funding for NetRep actually went to keep Carter County beautiful and to go support the efforts of Evan Gordon. One of the key things that we've done as well as a staff, we focus on team building, making sure that we're doing things out in the community. This past year, one of our key projects that we wanted to work on together is actually maintenance of the Appalachian Trail as well. So there's some photos of us actually maintaining the trail leading out to Jones Falls. And then we've also been a supporter of both the Irwin Outdoor Festival and also the Hike-a-Palooza. We committed a sponsorship to the Hike-a-Palooza and I actually committed a personal sponsorship on my side as well for the efforts that are being done up there. And I think what Rome Mountain is really starting to do really is a game changer for Carter County. The fact that the tap room is coming in up there, you've got some great restaurants, and you're really embracing the outdoors as a key driver. So, I've got 3 more slides that I kind of want to touch base on, and I think this is just important for you all to kind of understand some of the challenges that we're all facing here. Really looking at the state of the economy, I think it's important for us as a region to kind of look at our key competitors. And I'm going to talk specifically about Asheville and Knoxville. And I've included the Kingsport piece in here, but I would consider them really part of our region because there's folks that live in Carter County that I guarantee commute up Eastman every day. So as we look at the Johnson City Metro, we look at some of the challenges we're having based from 2000 to 2008 and then from 2008 to 2017. Basically, we've had a natural increase, but it's actually a decrease of 1,263 people. That means people that were living here in that time frame of 2000, 2008 aren't having kids. And if we don't produce people, we're not going to produce jobs. We've been very fortunate to have some migration coming in, but it's really not that significant where we've only added about 5,811 people since 2008. And if you really want to look at Kingsport Metro, you can go ahead and tack some of that off by 1,500 people. Now, when you look at Asheville and Knoxville, they've had a total change of 51,000 people in Knoxville MSA, and Asheville MSA has had a total change of 38,000 to the positive. They're really being effective in marketing themselves to become a destination for people who want to live. That's something that Carter County has that we really need to illustrate on a true regional standpoint. Johnson City doesn't have our own mountain sitting in the backyard. That's probably the crown jewel of this entire region. That's something we have to promote because a lot of the things that you have, whether it's the waterfalls, the hiking, just the outdoor tourism in general, those are going to be things that are going to help us recruit people. And if I had to say we were focused on one segment that we were trying to recruit, it's not aerospace, it's not automotive, it's people. Because people translate into dollars, and that's going to support the companies here, that's going to provide a qualified workforce, that's going to help your mom and pop stores, that's going to help downtown Elizabeth. On the next page, really looking at the state of our economy as a whole. GDP is really how we characterize success. Unfortunately, it's not been that successful from 2008 to 2017. We've seen our GDP decline 4%. If you add Kingsport into the mix, that's additional almost 6%, whereas our competitors in Asheville and Knoxville are growing. And then lastly, looking at non-farm employment, really looking at our labor force, very, very minimal growth, about 1.65%. We've got to find ways to bump that up even higher. And again, I think that goes back to trying to work at the region, promote this area together, and find collective ways that we can bring opportunities here. So on the last page here, just want to talk about opportunities where I speak and talk. I'm happy to bump that up here. I understand the importance from the governmental standpoint. You all are under a lot of pressure. You're elected by your constituents. You need to make sure that you're doing a good job for them and make sure that the money that you do have is being spent wisely. Every quarter, I report to the Joint Economic and Community Development Board of Carter County. I know Charlie Von Cannon's on that group, and Rusty is as well, Mayor Barnett. It's an open meeting, anyone can attend. At that meeting, I provide a report. I'm happy to submit that to each and every one of you directly if that makes sense and is helpful for you all. We also host bi-weekly staff meetings at our NERCAP office. I know John Hartman from Elizabeth attends. He has an open invitation there. Susan Robinson used to attend until Mayor Humphreys wasn't elected again, and ultimately she transitioned out. I don't know who it is from Carter County that'd like to attend. Chris, you're welcome to be there if you'd like. Abby, whoever you all see fit, or if it's a commissioner, doesn't bother me one bit. You're welcome. It happens on every other Tuesday at 10 a.m. And we usually leave about an hour, and what we want to do there is talk about projects, initiatives, ways that we can help each other out. Whether it's jointly marketing on social media, or it's, hey, while McDonald's is considering expansion, we need to get out there and help them out. I'm happy to make a quarterly update to this commission. I don't do that for Unicoi County, I don't do that for Washington County, but I do try to at least make annually a presentation, but I want to make sure I've got a great relationship with you all. To me, that's more important. If I need to be here, I'll be here. My last formal update to this commission was made August 24th of 17. I did make that overture last year, but at the time, Mayor Humphreys suggested I not be there. I don't get in between politics, and I'm not trying to on that side, but I am happy to be here just as I am tonight. And I'm sorry I couldn't be here last week. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions. I'm sure you probably would like to ask those, and I'm more than happy to address those, and feel free.
One question, go ahead, Mr. Tripp. What's the status on Snap-on? If they give you an estimate how far they're going to expand, or how many employees will be employed, or whatever, on the land up there?
So they're looking at doing a phase 2 environmental. They want to make sure that that land fully clears out and gets the A-OK from a TDEC standpoint. So that's key and important to them. As far as putting an exact job number on there, I know that they were looking more conservatively, probably in the 20 to 30 range, but depending on their business and what they do, it could be upwards of 100 jobs.
Oh, how much?
Oh, it could be upwards of 100 jobs.
Phase 2 is complete now.
So
We're looking at busting ground probably at the end of June.
there you go.
I
That right there is what we need. Mitch talking to Chris, I mean, stuff like that, the communication I think we're after. And that's a little bit of what we're lacking, the accountability aspect, the reporting. But to me, it's a two-way street. You talked about that. I mean, I think you guys, you can provide reporting and accountability. I think we need to do the same as well. I mean, be involved a little bit more, come to a few more meetings, maybe things like that, to make this thing work. You know?
And our role in this is to make sure that we're using every avenue that we can to get support from the state, TVA, and others. And the state and TVA help a lot of companies expand, whether it's Washington, Carter, Unicoi, Hancock, you name it. And that's the direct ally relationship that we want to have with them.
Do you see any marketable properties outside of city limits?
It's tough. I mean, infrastructure is probably the most important thing that you have. Looking out at the airport, if you want to head out to that way, that's probably the best opportunity I think you do have. I think your better opportunity really is to focus strong and hard on entrepreneurial efforts, outdoor initiatives. It's going to be less impactful from a sewer standpoint. I think Rome Mountain has all the potential to really grow and provide a lot of sales tax revenue to the county.
What about some of these empty buildings we have around Carter County?
So I know the Wright Screen building is something that we've been trying to market on that side. They're not utilizing all their facility. I'm not gonna kid you. I mean, you know, the Matheson property and the building that's sitting there is in rough shape. It's in really, really bad shape.
Yeah, I know.
I almost think probably the best thing that could happen if the county could get control of that, or the city of Elizabethton, is to look at a demo of that. I mean, it's just sitting vacant for as long as it is, it's not helped it at all.
I think part of the roofs fell in and everything else up there.
Yep.
Let me ask you on that, Mitch, you know, we need to, I guess, provide funding for that, City of Elizabeth and Carter County. Would you guys, can you kick in and help a little bit, or are you able or capable of doing
I
that?
think it's just like what Irwin did with the Morgan Insulation property. If you can get control and actually own that property, you open yourself up to TVAs and best prep, be upwards of $350,000. Those grants range with a max of $350,000.
Yeah.
State of Tennessee, through their site readiness program, you know, they provide grants up to $500,000.
Yeah.
You get those sites ready, oh,
I mean, it's really up to us to make that move and that initiative for us to.
the state of Tennessee is not going to willingly just give cash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm saying, like, as far as net rep in your organization, is that something, hey, we'll kick in 50 grand for this place to help you out?
Without a doubt. I mean, that's the intent of our organization, what we're trying to do. It's just like, we put money back in reserves with the idea and the hope that we ultimately can support any kind of project, whether it's a small business getting $3,000 or looking something big picture that's going to have a great economic impact across the region. We had $250,000 going to the Washington County Industrial Park. And that was to get us 2 sites for a 500,000 square foot pad and 150,000 square foot pad, because we saw the opportunity to probably bring in 500 to 600 jobs by doing that.
And you're saying that this week, I guess you've got an announcement on it, a job or somebody coming to town.
And it would not have been possible without Washington County, the town of Jonesboro providing infrastructure there, Bright Ridge, making sure that we had adequate power out there. That's what it takes. That's a partnership.
Other questions for Mr. Miller? As far as, I've wrote down a few things, but there's been some talks possible, the hotel in Elizabeth, part of the TIF district down there.
Yep.
I think maybe they're lacking some funding or investments or somebody just to step on board with that. Is that something that's kind of on your radar or that you're looking at, or maybe
Yeah, it is.
maybe
It's,
probably for us?
Yeah, so we had a investor lined up. Bill Cox with Mitch Cox Companies actually was looking at partnering on that, and ultimately wound up backing out on the deal. This wasn't going to be profitable enough for them, based on what they saw an occupancy rate ultimately being. We reached out to another group based out of South Carolina, trying to coordinate them coming up here. I had a relationship with them because they actually put a Hampton Inn in my hometown in Lincoln, North Carolina when I was working there. So trying to see if we can drum up some type of business working with John on that side. But again, TIF district, that was probably one of the more proactive ways that downtown Johnson City's been able to grow. So doing something like that in Elizabeth and Bethany is going to be that much more important. We have to look at incentives as a way to generate growth.
What has the city ever done with the Johnson Beer Center? Are they still thinking about making a hotel or opening it back up, or what are they gonna do? Do you have any idea at this time?
Sure, Johnson City Development Authority has a contract on that building right now, and ultimately, they're trying to secure TIF funding from the county and the city to do that. One of the holdups in that is trying to figure out ultimately where those residents will go. And Washington County's commission really wants to have that nailed down and understood, that if these folks are gonna just be displaced, where are they gonna go, ultimately what that's gonna look like, and who's gonna do that development. Your guess is as good as mine if that's gonna work. I'm not sure. It's a very complicated project. When you got 150 units there, multiple residents, that's adding a different dynamic to the economic development. It's more than just jobs.
We had a good event Friday night, and it's all out, we had some people come together and then work hard on that, get some good things going. It was fantastic. If anybody was out there, it was a really great time, and good to see Elizabeth doing well on a Friday night. People out walking around, businesses open. Is that something that you guys can promote for us, or be part of, and kind of help us out in the future on that?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. I'm excited to see a tavern probably come to downtown Elizabeth. It's things like that that are going to ultimately enhance the community, the quality of life piece, and I know that that can be somewhat of a controversial topic to talk about, but the younger generation, they're looking for this kind of things. And if we can, as a county and as a city, ultimately look at ways to enhance the lifestyle piece from that perspective, I think you're going to continue to see numbers decline, unfortunately.
Thank you. Anything else?
Are you aware of the census numbers for Carter County on the number of residents that are over 50 and under 50?
Yeah, I can actually get you a presentation that John Smith's done. The last 3 slides that I pulled out came from ETSU's College of Business and from him.
Well, the last numbers that I saw were from the census 10 years ago, and it was over 50%.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to go up. It's going to continue to go up. We have to find ways to make this place more attractive. And when I say this place, the region. When Asheville is growing by the way that they're growing, I'll be happy to take scraps from Asheville. And I think we can. The cost of living, quality of life, the traffic, and other key things that have come with too much growth too soon. And Asheville, they just can't handle it. Johnson City and Irwin will really start to see some of that growth on the I-26 corridor. I think some of that can filter over here too, because the housing market's a heck of a lot more affordable in Elizabeth and Carter County than it is in Johnson City right now. You just need to have a quality of life piece. It's like even on health. That's a great piece because it's going to get people down here to see what it's like to live here.
Second question, and it just slipped my mind.
It's okay.
Just do it all the time. But then that's, I guess, trickle down economics, that's the way it works. You see Knoxville, they're increasing, and Asheville the same way. Carter County, Elizabeth, these towns around here, we're kind of behind the curve, always have been. Not that that's a bad thing, but that's just the way it is. And that's why I feel like this investment, this opportunity is more of a long-term goal that we're trying to get on board with.
And tourism would help a whole lot if we can get a lot of tourism.
Well, some of the things that we're going to do, and I can promise you that we'll do this, we're working with a group out of Boone to try to get rat cards put all throughout the high country in western North Carolina that will have direct impact with these folks over at Carter County and see exactly what's going on here. It's going to cost us $3,500 to do it, and we're going to do it. But it's going to give us a whole new network of folks that ultimately are going to Boone or going to Avery, Ashe County, wherever it may be, and at least put Carter County on the map.
I remember my question now. Have you been able to get any sort of commitment from any of the school districts or school boards regarding including entrepreneurial classes in the curriculum for the high schools?
We don't necessarily work with the high schools. What we have done is work with TCAT on a lot of things where I know that they're tapping into some of those high school students. But as far as the entrepreneurial efforts on that side, I'm not engaged with that. I think it's a great idea though.
And also, the other thing that I was going to say is from the census data from, I think it was when was the last one, 2010, that Carter County from 2000 to 2010 had lost about 1,500 in population. So that was just from 2000 to 2010, so.
Well, I'm being honest, where Johnson City has grown, primarily it's been migration from Carter County.
Well, and also annexation into Carter County as well, so those guys count for the New Johnson City residents as well.
That's why we got to work as a region. If I'm not promoting this place as a region, we're not going to be able to stand up to an Asheville. And I look at the Johnson City Metro in general, and I know this is a touchy subject, I'm being honest. People aren't gonna look and say, I wanna go to Clark County. There's not. There's probably, just like I know in Washington County, I think there's 23 other Washington counties in the US, and they're not gonna think from that level. But if they can think as a Tri-City region, or they can think as a Johnson City, and then all of a sudden you have a suburb like Elizabethton or Watauga or whatever it may be, that's ultimately how they're gonna translate their train of thought. Great example is I'm gonna sell my house in Johnson City because the market's so good, but the place I wanna really look at is Elizabeth. I think that's a better opportunity for me. And it's a place really about the size of where I grew up in Lincoln, North Carolina, about 10,000 people. That's the environment I wanna be in, and I want my son to be in. There are more and more people that are thinking on that perspective. We just gotta be able to showcase the region as a whole. And when they get up here, that's ultimately, I think they will ultimately look at land here. But until we start marketing together and talking about that together, we're never gonna make a blip on the radar.
Do we have any industrial land or anything over at Moore Industry coming in over there, or anything we can help with?
I think that's probably one of the best assets you have, because there's a lot of vacant space still at Moore Lane.
But do you have any idea of how much property we have over there? I don't know.
Alex Borla owns the property there, and he has a lot of unused space with his parking spots. And if he's willing to do something there, I think it would lend itself to probably about 100,000 square feet. We've had some ring rooms done there to really look at it. But I think the bigger asset he has a ton of office space. You could still fit another call center in there really, really easily.
Plus there's some external lots too, it's about 17 acres altogether.
Anybody? All right, Mitch, we thank you for coming out and, we gotta get our heads together and think about this. This budget's not set, or anything, we still got a little bit of work to do, but,
Sure. And I really appreciate you all for the opportunity to be here again. Sorry for being a little unprepared last week, but I do appreciate you reaching out. And again, let me know whether it's just a budget committee or a full commission, I'm happy to make another appearance there.
yeah, we'll be in touch as far as reporting things like that, and it'll be exactly what we're after, but certainly some.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, Sheriff's Department, contract security, Captain Smith, you want to speak on that, sir? They did provide, sent out an email on the contract that I this afternoon, it's about 200 pages. Hopefully,
I've got to read every one of that.
pretty good, so.
Did Josh look over the contract that?
He did. Yeah, he's reviewed it. Matter of fact, I think he got bored reviewing it.
Yeah.
No, he says.
What we done is we decided to put our inmate communication system out for bid. The last one was done in 2012, and it was time. And we hit it on a great time. The rates changed. We cut a deal with Securus, I think that is going to be extremely beneficial for the county and the sheriff's department. We had a lot of extra tools that were added, which are in the contract. I was going to run another one off, and an hour and a half before this meeting, I started running down the figure that was not functioning on White Rock Mountain, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But if you need a copy, just let me know, I can get it to you before the full commission. There's a lot of tools that we negotiated in. I can't really go over with you out here in the public forum, but you know, we'd be glad to do that behind the scenes. Like I said, it's a pretty standard contract. If there's any questions, I'll address those.
Is it going to cost the city more or any less?
It won't cost us anything.
Nothing.
We're actually getting video visitation added to this contract through this company that will be paying for the installation and the upkeep and the maintenance. And Mom will be able to actually sit at home and video in. So they won't have to come down to the sheriff's department, which is relieves a big burden on us.
I'm sure safer as well.
And it is. But they don't come down and drop stuff in the parking lot. we have to go out and find it.
Do you recommend this, Mr. Smith?
I recommend it.
Okay, good enough for me.
All right, and the other thing is,
Let's, would you like to move forward on this? Make a motion to accept this contract?
I make a motion, we accept the contract.
Second. Any more discussion, any questions? Ms. Wallace, you can call the roll for us, please.
Willie Campbell. Patty, excuse me, Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Trivet.
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Yes.
Ross Garland. Travis Hill.
Aye.
Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Yes.
Motion carries. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
all right, and the next thing is, we received 2 Humvees from the military several years ago. And I think they've actually been run twice since we've had them. We've been talking with the surrounding agencies, and the rescue squad up here has determined that they have a need for one. And the Johnson County Sheriff's Department has decided that they would like to have one. They're not outfitted for the things that we want, and we thought we'd be able to go on to the sites that the military had and obtain the equipment and modify them to do the things that we wanted, but so far we've been unsuccessful. And the longer you have a vehicle setting, the worse it is. So we're going to try to give these to other agencies.
What kind of military vehicle are we looking at, Mr. Smith?
It's the MRAM, it's the Humvees.
Deuce.
It's like a little Jeep.
So you're no use for them anymore?
No, we don't.
And you said that Johnson County wants one, and who else wants one?
Carter County Rescue Squad.
Well, are we going to charge them for it?
No.
Okay.
It's going to be an interagency transfer.
Okay.
Didn't cost us anything on the front end, and
They better keep some in the future then.
and if somebody can get a use out of them, we want to have it.
I'll make the motion.
Second. All right. Any more discussion? So there's a motion on the floor to approve the transfer of the 2 vehicles to Johnson County and the Carter County Rescue Squad. You call the roll, Ms. Wallace.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Trivet. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Isaiah Frazier. Isaiah Grindstaff. And Kelly Collins.
Yes.
Aaron Frazier.
Yes.
All ayes, motion carries.
Thank you all on those games.
Thank you, Captain Smith. We've got approval for the early retirement debt and other loans for an estimated total of 1.8 and some change. And Brad, if you'd like to speak on that.
We've talked about this a little bit. There was some loans issued back in 2005 for some school improvements, and the loans are scheduled to be paid off in 2029. And at the end of this year, on June 30th, 2019, there will be a principal balance of $1,815,041. And the estimated interest for the remaining term of those loans at the end of June will be $195,000. The estimated fees will be $78,969.96. I've estimated the total payoff to be, this is as of August 25th. We have to give 90-day notice when we intend to pay off this loan. As of August 25th, we estimate the loan $1.815041, interest $5,000, fees $1,500, and the reserves or unknown cost, whatever you want to call it, $5,000, for a total of $1,826,541.
Where's this money coming from? Out of debt service?
Yes, sir.
How much do we have in debt service now?
Just a second, I'll tell you. Okay, at the end of this year, I'm estimating the balance to be, make sure I got the right column here. Okay, 4,255,223.
That'd be after we do this.
That'd be before,
Huh?
be before we pay that off.
But take that out, that's gonna run it down about 3.5 million there.
2.4, yeah, about 2.4 really.
Is this the school department's capital outlay notes or something that we're paying off?
It was for the schools, but it's the county's, it was for the schools, but it's the county's responsibility.
Balance. Don't know what's left.
It's also a variable interest rate. It's also a variable interest rate note.
And it will be, of course, there's some principal due in 1920 of around 160,000, I believe. You can take that off of this total, that'd be the net effect for the next year. About 1.68.
Now, did we take any money out of debt service and balance budget this year?
That's where we got it last year, but so far,
We've kept it up pretty good, the deficit.
What do we have to do?
I think either 40% of annual expenditures or the first 6 months of the year, whichever is greater.
you got any of those figures, you know those, or, as far, I would just, comparison to 2.4, if that's just going to be a place that we're pretty comfortable, you know, if this does happen.
Total,
The interest rate variable on
Yes,
this?
yes. And interest rates are on the trend up.
total appropriations for next year projected for 1920 are 1,878,498. So 40% of that would be 800,000.
So we're over, for sure. And then we'll have the bond with the jail on that one, correct?
Overall, long term, I think this would be one of the best options.
And you said it just over the next year is going to save us 160,000 next year?
Yeah, I'd
168,000?
say this, what will be paid over principal and interest
Yeah.
next year.
And so it's just 168, it's not including the remaining 10 years on it, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we do it.
I'll second. That money coming from debt service. Any more discussion on that? Thank you, Brad. Ms. Walsh, you'll call the roll, please.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett.
Aye.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Yes.
Paul Scarlin.
Aye.
Travis Hill.
Aye.
Aaron Frazier.
Aye.
Kelly Collins.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank everyone for their work on that. Brad, thank you guys, the finance department, I know Travis and Mitch, before we were talking debt service. So I think that'll help us out. There's a fund balance in there. So, sounds good. All right, we got anything else? Insurance, yeah, I'm gonna put it on. Insurance provider, we'll talk on that too, Mr. Burke.
I heard from our new broker today, they have some preliminary figures on the premiums for 1920 health insurance. And the figures as they stand today, Blue Cross Blue Shield came in at a minus 10%. And Cigna came in minus 10%.
That just sounded really funny.
Can you say it in the microphone?
Cigna came in, they're at minus 15 to 16.
Well, wait, aren't we still having, isn't Mountain States and / Ballard still having problems with Cigna?
He did say that.
Okay, so Cigna's off the table.
They confirmed that that work will work before they recommend any carrier.
And then that's basically our decision, is it Blue Cross or Cigna, this plan right here. The plan is to stay the same, right?
No changes to the plan.
Yeah.
They did say they need a decision made as soon as possible. And they also said they would come to the county commission meeting next Monday if requested.
Who is this?
Broker, insurance broker.
But you said, Mr. Governor, no, that's with Sequoia that you just went with. But was he here at the presentation before, or is this? Okay.
He was at both of them, actually. About the third one, probably.
He's familiar with us, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you think this is because of the broker that it's coming back like this?
We were being
And this broker,
manipulated before.
this broker is no increase in it, right?
Minus 10%.
Minus
Decrease.
10%.
And it could go even further.
Especially now that they know the Cigna's coming in 15 to 16%, and they now also know that.
And I think, everybody said this, but as far as the 1920 budgets, the savings from the 10% with Blue Cross was $202,867. And the Cigna was like $304,000 savings, so pretty substantial. Well, I mean, that's up to us, and we've got county employees on this budget. There's folks here that work for the county, plenty of them. So if anybody, would like to speak on that or talk about it, feel free to speak up.
I do have a question, Brad. As we negotiate, there's things that have passed, procedures that Blue Cross has not allowed within the plan. We need to address that with Sequoia right now. Because what they do is they exempted some procedures, just will not cover them, period.
They'll be up here on Wednesday.
I don't know, what an affordable family plan is something that we're after. Is that going to include this?
They're working on that as well.
Wednesday, well, I mean, yes, they'll be here, they can talk to the full commission, but I think they have representatives, their broker, or individuals to come and talk to employees.
I'm just skeptical with Cigna because I know of all the issues they've had with ballot in the past. I don't want to get in a situation where it's like, oh, you can't use your insurance. I mean, at all, if they have a problem with ballot down, you would have to go to Knoxville, Asheville, anything else.
Go ahead.
So I feel like a lot of employees are worried about losing their doctor. If they stay on this Blue Cross, I feel like that's a more secure plan for us.
Is this the same you got with the city or what?
Yes.
Which,
benefits.
which speaking of losing their doctor, that is something that Sequoia, like you guys remember in the presentation, they did say they would do disruption of service. So that will essentially take all the claims we had last year and run it through, if we did switch to Cigna, through Cigna and see who would be covered, who would not. And they said that there was people not being covered, they would not recommend it. They were very adamant that it would have to be the same coverage across the board.
I did have Cigna myself once before, it provided state coverage at one time, so we're not going to be hurt either way. They're great insurance.
We had Cigna up until they dropped Mountain States a few years ago, and then my company cut Cigna out. So
I think with negotiating right there, if you say they can go lower and seeing where maybe Cigna has come in, it could be comparable to that. What's the bottom line said?
I'm fairly certain Sequoia plays everybody off of each other.
Mr. Kraft, I'm saying, I'd like to see the family numbers come back, if whoever takes some for the savings, make the family coverage affordable.
You need to make a decision.
Brad, how much do we have in fund balance right now in the county?
Around 8 million.
8 million. Yeah, I think that decision, we need to bring this, I mean, come through this committee and be passed on to the full commission Monday if we can do that tonight. Determine this, the provider.
Doesn't have to go to financial management first.
That was my question, and I think it has the full commission, I guess, will be the ultimate decision on that, but, I guess we can pass it through our committee. That's, we're trying to get, to the point of making sure committees hear this stuff out before it is sent to full commission, so this, and there is money involved in this, so I think it would be just fine to come from here. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we go with this Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Susie, if you'll call the roll for us, please.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Lonnie Tribbett.
Aye.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Abstain.
Ross Garland.
Aye.
Travis Hill.
Aye.
Aaron Frazier.
Aye.
And Kelly Collins.
And before that's tallied, we actually passed that. Attorney Hartner, are we okay with everybody making that, the ayes and nays on that, as far as?
It's not an increase in benefits. It's simply voting on the cost of current level of benefits. So,
Okay.
if you feel like you can vote on that, I don't see it as a direct conflict because it's not an increase in your benefits.
That's it. All right, is everybody okay with their decision on?
Making sure it's on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Chris. All right. Anyone change the vote or anything like that? Okay, we're good, motion carries. That's another win there for the county, that's great. Keep them rolling. We'll take about a 5-10 minute break real quick before we get to budget amendments. Mr. Johnson, I haven't heard him say anything. Well, let's go, let's take about 10 minutes. We'll get back in order right here. Before we get to the amendments, Brad's got a couple things he'd like to add.
We talked a little bit last week about some reserve accounts in the general fund that had been set aside a few years ago for unspent appropriations for the property master and the register of deeds. And he directed me to speak with each official and see what their plans were for those funds. And there are $14,860 in the property master's reserve. Do have a letter from her stating her intended use of those funds. And there's $2,000 of it will be used for a rear door in her office. It's up for a budget amendment tonight.
Wait, I got a question there. And using that 14 out of her budget that's in there that she's not using for doors and security, shouldn't that come out of the mayor's budget?
She requested it come from those funds.
What do you say?
She wants to take it out of her budget, I think, the 2,000.
Because he told me I was going to need to do something with the reserve fund, so I proceeded in between $1,500 and $1,800 to put the back door in. So I told Ray to go ahead and take
Shouldn't have to pay it. I mean,
Two great carpenters.
shouldn't have to pay for that.
Well, we gotta use that money somewhere. I think
Yeah.
that's more of the issue.
Yeah, but I think all this security stuff and everything should come out of the mayor's budget, or it should come out of his budget instead of hers.
Well, this is to actually add, it's actually an additional exterior door for emergency exit purposes. That's one thing that they don't really have in their office. So this is something that was outside of the scope of the courthouse security project, whenever it was first paid.
We need a budget, or man back in the building and grounds committee. And I hope we elect one pretty soon.
Well, we've got, there's vice chairman, I'm sure, who is that, Mr. James?
That's already in, right?
Lane guy.
Oh, is it? Well, I mean, somebody's filling that position, and we'll get
Who is?
later on.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, they set it up in the building and grounds, and it was supposed, identified as a project. They were told it would be, come out with the capital improvement funds that we have in, for projects. So it's not an addition to the courthouse security. It should not come out of our budget whatsoever. That's what that capital improvement was going to come out of the undesignated fund balance. We split, one was for improvements and capital.
Well, then we got, what else we gonna do with the 1480, I guess?
I'll read your letter. It says, I'm requesting that the funds in the reserve account for the clerk of master's office be kept aside, as they will be needed for transition salary, equipment, and things for the office, without having to go to the commission to ask for funding of these items.
When was the last time any money's been taken from this reserve account?
2016, we bought the computer system. When we went to local government, we had enough money in reserve that we paid for all of it out of reserve funds, and the commission didn't have to grant us any additional funding.
Is that a different reserve or is that the same reserve?
Should that not come out of the automation reserve account?
It could have.
I think that would come out of the automation. I
Yeah.
don't think this reserve's been used yet, has it?
Yeah, some of it.
Okay.
Some of it has, it was used on local government.
Okay.
Scanners, maybe.
The automation was for the scanners, update on the scanners.
So, you're not part of this, are you, Melissa, taking this out of your budget?
Whatever you all want to do.
I know, but I don't think.
As long as you all let me keep the 14,000 so that we can use it for other stuff.
Well, we've had other office holders give up that reserve account to others, and I don't think that's fair that two others have given that up and when we have one that won't. So, I mean, that's not fair to ask him to give their reserve accounts up.
I don't know if it's asking anybody to get up, I was asking them what their plan is.
Yeah, the other two offered to have no plans with it, so.
What are those offices? Ms.
That would
Murphy?
have been registered deeds and the circuit court clerk. Circuit court clerk gave 25,000 out of an account.
Register had the balance of 3,586 in his reserve.
So on budget amendment 1, or I'm sorry, budget amendment 11, item 2, we would need to change that from, is that the change to the court rule one we're referring to? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we would just need to, instead of having it come out of the, their fund balance, we would need to bring it out of the capital improvements fund. Is that correct?
You said that came from Brad. You said her.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
that was, like Brad said, that was what we voted on in building and grounds.
So,
You're pulling double time, I forget about that.
I missed last week because my kids was doing that.
Melissa, we'll take it out some other way, leave it in there.
Thank you.
So I'll make that motion.
What's the motion exactly?
That we leave 2,000 in the reserve for that budget.
I think you're confused. We're talking about the 14,000, the total right now.
Right.
Okay. I think it's 2,000.
Not take 2,000 from it.
So you want the 14,800, this number,
Yeah.
we're at 14,860 to stay in a reserve account in the clerk and master's
Right.
budget.
Without taking the 2,000 out.
Yeah, I mean, so just the 14,860 total, put it into a reserve account.
Right.
Well, here's a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Campbell. How about discussion?
Well, it's already in a reserve, so I don't think you need a motion to keep it.
We would just need the reserve, we would just need the motion to modify the budget amendment.
When you get to the budget.
Yeah.
So there.
Question on the motion.
See, we have to vote on that too, don't we? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 2/3 vote.
Does that require a second? Question? No motion? No. All right, this is what the motion, or the question on the motion, call the question. If you'll call the roll, Susie.
Don't have any idea. Willie Campbell,
Stop, end discussion.
What are we voting on now, then?
It's to stop the discussion.
Close the discussion on the discussion.
Susie, if you'll
Okay.
call the roll, please.
Willie Campbell, Patty Woodby,
Yes.
Ronnie Trivet,
Aye.
Isaiah Grindstaff,
No.
Ross Garland, aye, okay. Travis Hill, Aaron Frazier,
No.
and Kelly Collins.
Yes.
5-3.
5-3 failed. What is it?
5-3.
5-3.
That's just a majority vote, or?
No, it's a two-thirds.
You're still on.
Well, let's talk.
You don't need them. It's a moot point because it's already in a reserve fund. More specifically, you need to just make a decision whether or not you're gonna, if you're not going to take it away, then, you're gonna leave it with her, or you're gonna drag it into the general fund, or just leave it alone. But you don't actually need to vote on it to just.
You're talking about the reserve account as a whole.
Right.
Well, it specifically was for clerk and master, $4,860. There's no reason to have a motion on that because it's already in
It's there.
Yeah, it's already in reserves.
So, I mean, I guess the real decision is where, if we want to do something with it, we put it back in general fund.
Put it back in her budget, leave it alone.
But we still have the current motion on the floor to not do anything. So we've got to clear that one out, get that one voted and cleared out, and then we can move on to what do we want to do with it.
Okay, we got a second by Mr. Campbell on that one. I do agree. Correct. Ronnie's original motion.
What was the original motion?
The original motion was to leave the money alone, which really is already what's going to happen with the money up until this point. Because we will make additional amendment later to change the government where it goes.
We still have to close discussion because we didn't pass that.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't have to, we had to have a majority on that.
Any more discussion?
That's the compromise.
Okay, hold on, now I'm confused again.
Close discussion.
All right. Second. Okay, call the roll, please.
Now, what are we doing now?
It's a motion to
Just
close
motion to
discussion.
close discussion on
Call
this
the roll for
topic.
it.
Close discussion.
Ronnie?
And the motion was made by who?
Kelly Collins.
Second
Kelly
by
Collins.
Isaiah.
Second by Mr. Grindstaff.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Willie Campbell? Patty Woodby?
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett? Isaiah Grindstaff?
Yep.
Ross Garland? Travis Hill? Aaron Frazier? Kelly Collins?
All right, we can move on from that, I think.
Start fresh.
Yes.
Now you have to vote on Ronnie's original motion.
Okay.
Oh, yep. Can you restate the motion?
Or you can withdraw it.
I'll withdraw.
Thank you.
So we're gonna have to go through all this again.
Yeah, because I know what you were thinking.
I'm not sure.
Wish I did.
I mean, if we're not hurting the money, what's the use of taking it out? I mean, we're sitting pretty good, $2,000 savings on the health insurance.
Yeah.
So if we're not really hurting for the money, just leave it alone.
Like you said, it sounds like she already has some plans for it in the near future, so.
But was the other money put in the budget last time? So that's why we lost
Jared,
it.
register deeds and circuit court clerk, pull money from theirs.
And that's already in, so that's why
It was put over in the
Put over,
unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
we're, right, I mean, so that's why we were.
Yeah, it was an account that we found that we didn't,
I thought the county attorney say anything tonight. He must not be gonna make his money tonight.
Here.
He had to read a two-there page.
Okay, Brad, is that all you have on that?
That's what y'all
That's
want to
anything else?
No.
Okay, so we'll gently move to budget amendments.
Just to confuse the matter, or try to not confuse it, I guess, more. So item number 2, before I cover it, we're agreeing to move that to capital improvement instead of out Ms. Melissa's reserve, right? I think it's
If you
right.
count them.
Okay.
Count numbers 3, 4, 5, 8, 5, national,
Do we,
I think it.
do we need a motion on that to move it out of there, or can we just go? Just go with it? Let's go.
I'll state it.
Okay. Let's go.
All right, so we're gonna start with page 6, if you guys want to turn there. We're gonna do general fund 101, budget amendment number 11. Item number 1 is to reallocate funds within registered budget. Item number 2, just to clarify so everyone knows it's in minutes. We're actually increasing building improvements, which is 51,800,707. We're gonna decrease capital improvement reserve, which is 345,85001, to cover the actual installation of the rear door in the Chancery Court Clerk's office. Item number 3 is to recognize state grant funds for purchase of computer equipment for election office. Item number 4 is to reallocate funds within the Chancery Court budget. Item number 5 is to reallocate funds within agricultural extension service budget. Item number 6 is to recognize additional grant and matching funds for additions to courtroom security projects. Item number 7 is to reallocate funds within the other administration of justice category. Item number 8 is to appropriate donations to the animal shelter. Item number 9 is to correct account number used in budget amendment number 4. Item number 10 is to reverse budget amendment number 8, item 2. Funds were retained in the health department fund number 117 budget. Item number 11, that's fund 117 budget. Item number 11 is to appropriate funds received from the state for confiscation of driver's license. Item number 12 is to recognize reimbursement for ICAP for equipment purchase. Item number 13 is to appropriate revenue for calendar sales.
Well, hold on, where's that coming from right there, exactly?
The revenue for calendar sales?
Yeah.
So essentially, they sell the calendars, and this is the revenue, they're just appropriating it.
I mean, it's from the sheriff's department.
Yes, sir. Item number 14 is to allocate restricted fund balance to purchase computer equipment for ICAC setup. And this is on page 8. Item number 15 is to reallocate funds within the sheriff's department budget to equip SRO vehicles. Item number 16 is to reallocate funds between the county commission's budget and the miscellaneous budget. Item number 17 is to reallocate funds within the county building budget and between the miscellaneous categories. Item number 18 is to reallocate funds within the finance department. Item number 19 is to reallocate funds within the county clerk's budget. Item number 20 is to reallocate funds within the mayor's budget. Normal page, all right?
I had the basic board going on.
Yes.
I also have one as well.
Reload funds from the county commission budget to the miscellaneous budget. Why is that?
You want to cover that one, Brad?
Yeah, those line items were short in the county commission's budget,
At the commission budget, you just added to it.
and there were funds available in the miscellaneous category for liability insurance.
So you just added it to the commission budget.
Take the miscellaneous and add it to the commission.
Okay.
Which a lot of these that you'll see that reallocating, so we're just covering line items that are short.
Sheriff on the SRO vehicle, is that a new vehicle? Or is it all SROs don't have a vehicle? Did all the SROs don't have a vehicle?
They've got one, it's got to do with the contract with the schools and getting ready to let the lease.
No, this one isn't. This is the one for purchasing for this school year. The funds were allocated from the school just for the vehicle. We had to allocate funds to equip it.
It's not county money, it was in the MOU with the school system.
Okay.
We just had to reallocate.
Is that all the questions we have so far? So page 9, item number 21 is to reallocate funds within the election office budget. Item number 22 is to reallocate funds within the planning department budget. Item number 23 is to reallocate funds within the trustees budget. Item number 24 is to reallocate funds within the county coroner's budget. Item number 25 is to reallocate funds within the circuit court clerk's budget. Item number 26 is to reallocate funds within the animal shelter budget. Item number 27, which is page 10, is to reallocate funds within the sheriff's department's budget. Item number 28 is to allocate funds from tobacco grants reserve. Item number 29 is to reallocate funds within jail budget and between the miscellaneous category and the jail. Item number 30 is to reallocate funds within juvenile services budget. Item number 31 is to reallocate funds within inspection and regulation budget, which is the OSHA. Page 11, item number 32 is to reallocate funds within the liver grant category and recognize additional grant funds. There's a total budget limit of $346,746.91, with $11,290 coming from fund balance, not unassigned fund balance.
All right. Which line items are the ones that we're paying out on? I missed it.
Come on, this fund balance?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, it's not unassigned fund balance, it's like the regular fund balance that I set up.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So for
3,900, I guess.
If any of the, yes, it's 3,900, that's going to be your unassigned fund balance, but if it's any of the 34 numbers, that's going to be a reserve.
Thank you, I misremembered that. Thank
No,
you.
you're totally fine.
Yes, sir.
What? Yeah, you are 35, I'm sorry. What crap is that? So for the first 3,900, you have the unassigned fund balance, therefore we didn't have any of that, so it's all reserved.
Make a motion, we approve this?
Second. Motion by Mr. Fraser, second by Mr. Tripp. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby. Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
All right, so we're now on page 12. We're on Fund 116, which is the Solid Waste and Sanitation Fund. We're doing budget amendment number 6. Item number 1 is to allocate fund balance for rental of skid steer to be used for the Road Mountain Convenience Center. Item number 2 is to allocate between and within solid waste categories and appropriate fund balance. So that's a total budget number of $35,886.60, and there's $4,258.71 coming from 116's unassigned fund balance. It's solid waste and unassigned fund balance.
I make a motion to approve.
So both of these are coming out of the unassigned fund balance for solid waste?
Yes.
Second.
That's second by Ms. Collins. Any discussion on that? What's coming out on item 2 as far as out of fund balance? What?
It's just to help balance that actual entry. So there's not one specific thing I can tell you.
Okay. And that's rental on the skid steer on top of it?
Yes.
Do we know anything about the length of time that they're needing it, or?
I think it's for a month, it's where they're being doing some improvements on that.
That's the one up there on the left, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, we received grant money for that to do it. And I said 3,900, that's 39,000, I guess, for unassigned. All right, so you got 42,5871 coming from fund balance on that. Got a motion and a second. You'll call the roll, Ms. Wallace.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
We're on page 13. This is going to be Fund 122, which is the drug control fund. This is budget number 7. Item number 1 is to appropriate donations, and that's for $742.60.
Your motion approved. Make a motion. Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Wallace?
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Motion carried.
We're on page 14. This is Fund 131, which is the Highway Public Works Fund. This is budget amendment number 6. Item number 1 is to reallocate funds within and between Highway Department categories. That's a total amendment of $114,168.82, with nothing coming from fund balance.
So you got the 50,000 part-time, you got that maybe part-time too?
Yeah, that's, I think it's 50,000.
three people that works with the road crew, and we've never set it up separate. Now we're setting up the account separate, we're just shifting the money over to that area. It didn't work at our part, we've just been including it with the regular employees. Now we're separating.
How many percent, 30?
Pardon?
3?
There's 3 with the highway and 2 with the administration and the inspection of utilities. And there's even 4 of those.
I was going to see if it's,
There's 3 of us. 3 people.
somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Discussion. We'll call the roll, Ms. Wallace.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Motion, please.
So page 15, Fund 141, which is your general purpose school fund, budget amendment number 9. Item number 1 is to allocate donation for homeless students. Item number 2 is to reallocate funds in the early childhood education program. Item number, by the way, where it's highlighted there, that is just any change from what we initially sent out in the email to what you guys. Item number 3 is to reallocate funds within the maintenance department's budget. Item number 4 is to allocate fund balance to the maintenance department's budget to purchase a floor machine and a motor. Item number 5 is to reclassify budget for pest control from maintenance of plant to operation of plant. We're going to continue on page 16. Item number 6 is to reallocate funds to maintenance of plant from operation of plant. Increased per salary scale was not fully included in the original budget. Benefits were underestimated in the original budget as well. Item number 7 is to adjust for decrease in state program funds, additional targeted support and improvement program. Item number 8 is to reallocate funds within coordinated school health budget per E-plan. Item number 9 is to recognize insurance received for flooding damage at Happy Valley High School. Item number
That came in a little bit less because it was 70-something, wasn't it? Today it's that one. That was minus the $500 deductible.
Item number 10 is to allocate funds for architect fees on construction of handicap ramp at Happy Valley Middle School. We'll continue on to page 17. Item number 11 is to adjust the budget for 21st century to agree with the plan. Item number 12 is to adjust budget for LEAPS program to agree with the plan. And that's a total budget amendment of $143,675.31 with $9,994.20 coming from fund balance. And that's all from unassigned fund.
Is that from the schools unassigned fund?
Yes, yes.
Motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Grindstaff, here a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Discussion. Susie, if you'll call the roll.
Okay, Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. And Kelly Collins.
Motion carries.
We're now on page 18. This is Fund 142, which is your school federal projects fund. This is budget amendment number 5. Item number 1 is to recognize budget revision for IDEA Part D. Item number 2 is to recognize budget amendments to Read Be Ready Summer Grant. Item number 3 is to recognize amendments to IDEA preschool budget per E-plan. There's a total budget amendment of $68,630.23 with nothing coming from fund.
Make a motion. I'll say.
Who made the motion?
Motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Grindstaff. Any discussion? You'll call the roll.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Yes, sir. Motion carries.
Item number 19, or not 19, I apologize, page number 19. Item number 1, and this is for your Fund 143 Central Cafeteria Fund, budget amendment number 3. It is to allocate fund balance to purchase food service equipment, and that's going to come from school cafeteria fund balance. It's $155,565.60.
Yeah, of course, what did we say was in it, like 3 million or something, something like that? So
Yeah, they need to
pretty
sit
healthy.
down there, fund balance.
Where's that going, or what are they talking about?
So we put this out for, this is just equipment for the cafeterias.
Just
I don't know the specific
different
equipment, but it's.
Just new stuff, whatever,
Yeah.
something, probably need, I'm sure.
I'll make a
All right, Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Drystaff. You'll call the roll. Ms.
Willie
Walker.
Campbell. Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby. Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Motion carries. Next up,
So we have our April donations. We have Animal Shelter totaled $485 of donations. Drug Fund was $742.60. And Carter County Schools totaled $500 with a April 2019 total donations of $1,727.60. And then if you flip, go ahead.
Oh, you got more?
No, so if you flip the page, the animal shelter, as they always do, brings a list of Walmart donations and other donations. And there's approximately $1,255.66. That's like food or anything else.
Yeah. Have a motion to approve the donations.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Make it, I need to.
No, I can't, but you can. I was asking. Second. Motion by Ms. Collins, second by Mr. Frazier, to approve April donations. We'll call the roll.
Willie Campbell. Patty Woodby.
Yes.
Ronnie Tribbett. Isaiah Grindstaff. Ross Garland. Travis Hill. Aaron Frazier. Kelly Collins.
Motion carries.
That's all we have.
All right, thank you. We do, on that packet, we do have the, I guess, the letter from the planning department. We have some representatives here. Chris, you want to talk about that a little bit, or?
No, basically, the chairman sent the letter to you and Brad, and courtesy copy it over, make sure you got it.
Yeah, so I mean,
Explain, so it's basically voted up or voted down, send it back to us.
Right, yeah, that's, we can either say yes or no to the amount, we can't really say, hey, spend it, that's basically what we do.
The attorney can explain that to you if you need to.
Do we need any explanation, Attorney Harden, or anything you want to add to that?
Well, I don't know if you do or not. If there's any, I think maybe there was some confusion. I'm not sure, but I don't think the intent of the letter was to tell you all that you had to give planning commission whatever they asked for. I don't think that was the intent of the letter, and maybe it was taken that way. But the process is, if their budget is not approved, it's rejected, and they've got 10 days essentially to resubmit a new budget, and then you vote on that. And that's the way the process works. So I think there was some confusion, but I think it's alleviated now, and I hope everybody understands that. But as long as everybody understands that, I don't think you need any further explanation.
Okay, thank you. I left last week, and I don't know where we stood on the planning, if we made some cuts, or we wanted to make cuts, or where we stood on that. Everybody feel the,
Basically, we just 3% across the board with the rate, is that correct, Brad?
Only 9%, 3% across the board is cut.
yeah, so we basically be rejecting their budget. Right. So is that something you guys worked on? Sorry, is that something where if we rejected this budget, or something we haven't passed it yet? But, you know, it looks like the original budget is not going to be, you know, funded.
Voted up, voted down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, we haven't voted on it, but it looks like it may be coming back. So be ready for that. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Okay. Thank you. That leaves us, I guess, all that we got in our packet. I'm sure there's when we talk about commission comments. Bring anything up, discuss. Anything? Mr. Johnson, question to clarify. In
in reference to the planning commission, remember, it's an up or down. You either accept the budget or you can send it back to them. They got 10 days, so that means on their submission during budget hearings and reviews, not for the final budget count on our June meeting.
Well, I mean,
Because if you do, you have to stop your whole process to give them 10 days to come back in.
Well, we've already adjourned the hearings.
So if there's a disagreement or the budget committee says that they need to lower it, then you need to tell them now, or they got 10 days to resubmit to you for this next year's budget.
Yeah, I think we have a decision, we're going to make that decision this week, Thursday, to do that, so.
If you misunderstood, because if it waits till you come and vote on your tax rate and your outside agency and your county budget, and it comes up in the meeting and they're wanting to reduce 10 days,
Well,
then that stops.
Yeah, I mean, we're not making that decision this coming commission meeting anyway, so.
I know, but I just want that to clarify.
Thank you. Right. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah,
I've got a few things. First of all, I would like, with this insurance, which is fantastic news, thank the finance department. You guys done a great job. Health and welfare for really pursuing this. Financial management, you guys too, for entertaining these guys coming in. We're talking $200,000 plus savings. That's pretty fantastic news. So we thank you guys for the hard work. Everybody on that. It's really good. So thanks to all there. Our commission budget or general fund, we talked about laptops, getting away from paperless, all the hardware and supplies, all that. Did we include that? Is that money in there? We really talked about that.
The last thing that I've heard is that, I guess, Aaron probably clue in a little bit more because he's on the rural problems. They've been looking at different tablets, different laptop options, and things of that nature. I do know, of course, the full county commission approved the email fees. Kind of curious about where we're at with that.
yeah, Rule 12 last week, you did say they were still researching the tablets through, I think, Anthony, trying to get the best ones for the money. It's still a process he's working on. He's diligently working on it. He's
trying to find a contractor that's willing to
Yeah.
give you the tablets at the price that you want.
But yet, one that's gonna last for the price that we're gonna pay for it.
And did they give any update on the emails or anything like that? Because, I mean, that money's already been approved, we're getting at the end of the fiscal year.
He's not gonna say anything about that.
Yeah, the laptops have been going on for 4 months. Because I remember asking about it 4 months ago.
Well, somebody,
Speaking of the winter deadline.
Gary brought up that he may be able to get us tablets.
That's what it was. That fell through with Gary.
It did?
Yeah.
Okay, I see, I wasn't
Gary
there
was
on
working on it, didn't
Tuesday.
pan out, was what, yeah.
Gary Bailey.
Yeah. Randall said what Gary was working on did not pan out, so they're gonna start again fresh on those.
How about basically trying to get, we were
That's what
basically
he's
trying
doing,
to
he's working with Anthony right now to see what we can get.
surplus
Yeah.
iPads
Yeah,
that had been left over that were generally being donated to the school, and the school wasn't using all of them, so we're gonna try to reappropriate some.
Yeah, and he said it fell through.
and that's the thing, I don't know if we need all 24 or not, because I'm sure there's some folks that may not be too interested in working. Some don't even have email here, but I was just curious about that.
The commissioner email addresses have now been purchased. I'm working with Anthony to try to set up like a workshop day for anybody that would need help getting their device set up with the correct email stuff. We're talking about maybe doing it at like 5 o'clock before commission meetings. That way it's a day everybody's gonna be here already.
If you've already got the,
The licensing and stuff, yeah.
or do you already have like the server data and all that stuff?
Anthony will have that.
Okay. Just whenever y'all get it in, just email it to me.
Okay. We may recruit you to help us sign everybody up.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
going back to the budgets and everything, if you look at it right now, wouldn't it be more than the 3% increase that we have the ability to do to the employees? I mean, can you answer that, Brad, or Mike?
I mean, what you've asked for is.
No, I'm talking about for all the county employees.
Oh, well,
Sir?
Each 1% is roughly $85,000.
So it depends on what the committee wants to do with if there is a decrease in the budget, there may be some, again, it's up to the committee to do with what's available.
so to my understanding, the general fund there was $13,000 surplus from another day, correct?
So, there's other things we'll probably end up having to readdress, like net revenue.
Yeah, yeah.
That's different in the insurance, savings in insurance things. That's an additional 200,000, 160,000. Excuse me, the savings in the insurance. Right. 200,000.
We're doing it surplus.
To pay that additional 2% pay rate for the employees.
When would we have an idea, I guess, at the board, find out a better number from the broker? If you report back to
I
us.
would think by next Monday.
Would you? Okay. Well, that's good, I mean, they'll be here, I guess.
I just don't like having something like that pop up for full commission, like the day of.
Yeah.
Just to look at it.
But and that's good, and Brad brought it to my attention today, so that's why he said we need to get this on there and discuss it. And it follows the following policy of getting things brought before committee, so. And get a chance for employees, if they're coming this week, is that right, to talk to them?
We'll talk to the finance department.
Okay. So not employees, just, I guess, you guys, sorry.
They'll be doing those in June. Employees.
Okay, I spoke to, I think it was Matt Bailey, or Daly, is it Bailey? I wrote down Bailey, but I thought that was wrong. From 911, I wrote something down on that. But Dale Levens, he was going in to maybe have surgery, diverticulitis or something like that, not doing in great shape, so possible surgery for him. But he said there was, I think that maybe we had misunderstood or something, some numbers got thrown out there that they all received $10,000 bonuses, like for each employee. He said that was a mistake and he didn't know where that figure came from exactly. But he just wanted to say that didn't happen. We talked briefly on the phone and I said, we've got a meeting tonight probably.
But it was 5,000, I think.
I think 5,000.
So every employee got 5,000, not 10,000.
Yeah, and that was, I think he said a surplus from the state or something, and their board, I guess, chose to do that. Do you have something, Brad, on that? Yeah. Okay, but I told him, sorry. I said, we got a meeting tonight, I'll discuss it briefly, but I would like to have him come back Thursday for our regular voting meeting, and at least talk about that, bring that up to kind of clarify, because they were looking at that 75,000, which like I missed last week, but I don't think we were looking to fund that, were we? What, 75 or something? 79, 79.
Mr. Chair, I started that rumor.
Thanks.
And the reason being is because I have a medical excuse, I got chemo, but it was 5,000 because we were there at the meeting, at the board meeting when they approved.
Yeah, so 5,000 for each employee.
For each full-time and $2,500 for each part-time.
And of course, he went on to say that if they didn't receive the 10,000, we're doing all we can to keep people. We've had 5 or 6 leave since that.
There are no more different shepherds. That's only a deputy with your brains knocked out.
Yeah, I realize that. I'm relaying information. Don't shoot the messenger.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You got to get on with it anyway?
No, excuse me, Brian.
Better watch it. I know, it's a better keep my message. But we will, I don't know if Mr. Bailey will be there or which representative, but I'm on one will be here Thursday. Jeff Treadway, Travis spoke with him from the city council. I think they want to talk a little bit more about funding the Elizabeth Fire Fund. So, prepare for him as well. Mayor
fire chiefs, so I got a meeting scheduled with all the volunteer fire chiefs tomorrow night in my office. And Butler will do on that too, because I told him he needs to be here. So all we're doing is just, wants and needs. I said, I just want to get together, see what the wants and needs are, and try to, I've got a couple of places I've already picked out, got some grants that I can give to them, they can apply for these grants to get equipment, more equipment, gear, even apparatus. I mean, so I've got some stuff to hand out, so we're having a meeting tomorrow night in my office.
So that's, those guys are pretty proud bunch usually. I hope you have some mediation or, some people to kind of keep that.
Well, I told them it's just it's not no ambush or nothing like that, but it's just, we're talking about wants and needs.
Yeah.
I mean, if they get rowdy, put them out, they're glad to leave. I mean, it's going to be friendly.
Yeah, where did we end up with Buck? 2,500, was that the number we talked about with them? Or?
5,000.
5,000. So 5,000 from us.
Yeah.
2,500 for them.
Okay, and they've all got they're all technically got their checks from the top
Yeah.
3 months, so they're excited about that. So I got some more grants I can issue to them. I call it First Tennessee Development. That's my go-to person. They give me some people for grants. I mean, send out for, we got to work on we want to get everybody's ISO rating down. I know people get tired of hearing that. That's big. That ISO rating means a lot on the family, on the insurance policy. So I'm excited about our meeting tomorrow night.
Just to touch on what Mr. Schuler said, I have no issue with possibly giving another % on the rate. If we let that top money by, it was imperative we pay off this note. But I would definitely entertain another 2%.
No, the debt service that we passed this evening, is it?
I mean, as far as the employee raises with the savings.
100% over 3.
But I think it's imperative we pay off the note.
With the 1.8 million.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I do entertain his idea, and I think it'd be good for employee morale.
We're trying to have them.
All right, 3 more resign this week.
Do all we can.
Do you want that included in the budget presented next week?
That, I was going to bring that up as far as what we're looking for Thursday.
I think what would be beneficial on that note is the page that you had prior to that showed the percentages, 3, 4, 5, 6, just to get an idea of what it would cost. That way they were spread.
And that was going to, I had the question as far as how these budget sheets are displayed, or are we going to have them on the board, things like that. If they can be confusing, if they are confusing, if there's anything that needs to be straightforward, taken out, or whatever, so we can look at this thing and everybody's on the same page, we can understand it, where everybody's well-being.
Well, I know we wouldn't have to put it in this year, right? The payment and interest if we're going to drop.
Set the bid budget for next year.
Right.
So that would give us what, an extra 160,000? I think it was 168, that's what we talked about earlier, so.
And of course, debt service is in pretty good shape. Last year, we had a rebate in there to help out our tax rate and everything. I know in years past, I don't know exact numbers, but it got to be in a pretty critical position. And, we certainly don't want to keep going back to that, and want to have money to, pay off. And I know we had just the jail on there, but we're looking at future capital projects, whatever, that, have some healthy fund balance if we need to go there. But I mean, anything want to add on the budget sheets that you're after? Are they okay with you guys? I know that, talked to Dr. Rick on that just briefly on our emails, and we need everybody on board because we have full commission here. They're going to be looking at this stuff. We've got a pretty good idea and know what we're looking at. Some of the other guys don't. Guys, girls, everything. And I know that's really what you work off of on a daily basis, Brad. We're not trying to get away from how you do your business and make anything harder for you, but just make sure it's clear and everybody can understand what's going on there.
To be clarified, does Brad need to put that in there? Did you guys say that we need to put it in the Excel sheets, or no? Did the rest?
Just do the table.
Oh, just do the table.
And that way, I mean, sitting here, we can change, we can modify that multiple.
Yeah, just, I mean, put the,
But if you look at the, if we have the table of salaries, then we can sit down, we can actually have a discussion just on that, and then update that sheet. I think it's best, for easier for us, if that's all right with people.
If anybody needs any type of report for the budget, just let me know, and, you know, we can see what we can come up with. Even when it's on the screen, we can hide columns, if we need to, shrink it down, you know, whatever y'all want, we can do it.
They get a TV,
There's one that Randy can use.
sort of thing.
One of the two, I think it's 205 rooms that are right there.
I think that's blue.
The one in the mayor's conference room's larger. We could even move a table in and set that on.
Big TV though.
Boring.
anything else? Mayor, as far as, I guess I don't know, or dissolving from Carter County tomorrow deal, you guys are working on something exactly. What is that, Tyler, or what, tell me about that.
Well, we've got our own tax ID number and charter now. It's Carter County Joint Economic, Inc., right?
Carter County Joint Economic and Community Development Board, Inc.
Yeah, all that, yeah.
A lot, the mouthful.
Ink, that ink on the end of it, I think. But anyway, we've got a tax ID number.
It's IC, not IK.
Yeah.
And who we talking there? Who's that?
Okay, what we're waiting on the other day, we want to add 2 from county commission and 2 from the city council. So we laid out to the city to give us 2. And I thought it'd be appropriate to add the 2 from, that's already on that Carter County Tomorrow board, which on ours would be Miss Patty and Miss Sonia. I haven't really talked to Miss Sonia about it, but I'm sure she would come on board. That's who I would like to recommend to bring on board. And the city's they're going to give us 2. That'll put us at 15, which that's a lot, but, you know, we're involved with the city, county, city, Watauga, and Johnson City's got one representative, got 600 people, around 600 people that they represent. So they just want to represent Watauga, is one, and the rest of it be city and county.
And I guess it's not the sole purpose, but I mean, what are we after on this exactly? What is this for?
It would bring the regulations development back it'll still be county owned, but it'll be under the eye of joint economic.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense? I mean, we'll just be watching over it, but it'll be county owned.
So basically the revenue that'll be coming in from that, will be, instead of going to Carter County tomorrow, will come to the county.
Right. Well, I know because we've turned in Chris's office to economic, community development, all that. I didn't know if this is kind of a similar deal or this is something separate.
State law requires us to have an 1101 board for joint economic and community development that represents not only the county, but each municipality which lies within the county. So that's why it's got Watauga and Johnson City on it. And that was the problem with the Carter County Tomorrow board before, was they did not have representation from Watauga or the city of Johnson City. So this is a compliant board which allows us to apply for 3-star grants and things of that nature. It allows us to be eligible for economic development grants from the state. And merging the 2 will essentially keep us from having 2 such boards in the county.
Okay. Is that the old Carter County up here we're talking about?
Yeah.
Now, from the contract that looked, it's supposed to come over to the Carter County period.
In 2022, this will make that happen quicker if Carter County Tomorrow merges into JECDB.
The county attorney's over here. County attorney, have you and Attorney Dave worked this out to where we're supposed to take this over?
No, I mean, they're still talking about what they're gonna do. I mean, Carter County Tomorrow has the lease until 2022 unless they go away before that.
Did y'all have a meeting that they give it up?
No, there have been discussions about them winding down or dissolving ahead of time, but no, that's not something that.
Do you know, have you all got the assets worked out and all this stuff yet?
No. No, there has been no meeting with Roger Day. The Carter County Tomorrow Board, I think, initiated this with the mayor, and the mayor's on the board, as far as discussions of them winding down or dissolving. And that, there's been no vote to do that, to my knowledge.
They didn't come up and say they was going to dissolve at a certain time.
Right, but I think from our standpoint, they're being a little proactive with this board so that there is a compliant board in existence.
So we gotta have another board.
No, we've got the board, we're just trying to get it, their goal is to get it in shape to take on anything that Carter County Tomorrow would do now, once they go away, if they go away.
So,
We're trying to get one ready before we get rid of the other, so we're not hanging out in the middle somewhere.
so who gets the rent and stuff off of it now?
Well, as it stands, Carter County Tomorrow does until 2022 unless they dissolve. If they dissolve, then the Carter County owns the building. So unless we enter into some other agreement, Carter County does.
And you wasn't in a meeting in the mayor's office to where they designed, to where they dissolved?
There's been meetings talking about it, but
Yeah,
no,
they talked about it, but they didn't officially dissolve.
They haven't yet. No, sir. I think they meet in June.
June. And June's the next meeting, so they've not had it in June.
What we did, we're setting it up. They're not going to turn it over until we are completely ready. We've not been going real fast. We've been taking slow steps. We've got our tax ID number, got our charter. We've got everything enforced. Now we're getting our board together. And then once we're ready, they're ready to install.
There's a new interlocal agreement. The interlocal agreement that was approved back in 16 set up this board that we have now. This is a new one that's going to change it to the way it needs to be. And that's going to come up this month.
So we got, gonna have to have a new board now.
No. It's the existing board. There's had 4 people to it.
We're at 2 cities, 2 from the county.
We got a board right now that's got 11 members. And the new proposal is to add 4 members, 2 cities, 2 county, to just change the board that exists. And Carter County Tomorrow, if they choose to dissolve, will be no more.
But see, this board will be getting the money off of the rent, right?
No.
No.
Where will it go?
Well, as it stands right now, if Carter County Tomorrow dissolves, Carter County owns
If
the
it
building.
dissolves, Carter County will get it then.
Correct, unless there's some new agreement that changes a new lease or a new agreement that changes that. If Carter County Tomorrow dissolves prior to 2022, the money comes to Carter County. It does anyway in 2022, but they're trying to accomplish this 2 years early, essentially, to save 2 years of that. But the first step is the interlocal agreement that's coming up here this month. It's going everywhere. It's going here, it's going to City of Elizabeth, and Watauga, Johnson City. Their rules, Johnson City has to prove it 3 times. We got to prove it once, Watauga once. I think City of Elizabeth has to pass it twice. So it's going to take a couple of months to get the interlocal agreement in place before we're even ready to take on what Carter County Tomorrow does now.
Russ, I do have a question. You said there was 11 members currently on Carter County Tomorrow?
No, Carter County Tomorrow. No. This is the Joint Economic Community Development Board. There's 11 members.
11 on ours.
Yeah, I don't know who's on Carter County Tomorrow.
Is that the question? We're going to have 15. Right now, they have 8 or so, I'm not sure, but exactly the total Carter County Tomorrow, but I'll recommend on that group too, but we've been talking for probably 6 or 8 months about this. We're going to come into Carter County. We're not going to agree on it, go to somewhere else, we come to Carter County.
When this board, back in 2016, went ahead and organized like that to where they wasn't in compliance with the state in 2016, and that's the reason it wound up this way?
No, the JECDB that organized in 2016 was to be compliant with the state because Carter County Tomorrow wasn't.
They wasn't in compliance.
Carter County Tomorrow wasn't. Right.
No, I know.
Right. Yeah, the board that we have now was and is, but they're wanting to change it to, I guess, appease the early dissolution of Carter
And
County.
they want to put Johnson City and Watauga and everybody on it now.
They're on it now. They have to be.
Who put them on it?
This commission, all four, Carter County, Elizabeth, Watauga, Johnson City, all cities within the county have to be on it.
I know, I don't remember putting them on it.
Sure. Yeah, this commission did it in 2016. Yeah. This commission, city council, Johnson City, Watauga, all passed it in 2016, set up the board that exists. There's been no money, there's been no funding, no budget since then. It's just a board that meets.
Now, I raised King for years. They had the money in reserve up there to put the elevator in for the second floor. And I raised King for 2 years before they ever put it in.
Right, and that's Carter County tomorrow, which has got nothing to do with this board. We're talking about.
Different boards.
Yeah.
You got different boards.
Right.
Got many boards.
Right.
Two boards, but that's a required board that we have to have, one way or the other. The elevator is in. Right. When we cease, when we cease doing any business with CCT except police, they were no longer the joint economic board for the county. And that's why we had to make the new one that was compliant with the law in 16. Any more questions? All clear.
Josh has got the answers.
All right. I will also, I sent out the letter today about the tractor. That was, they requested me to send that out, actually, middle of last week, maybe Tuesday. I probably dropped the ball a little bit, it's been busy. But I've sent that out. I may contact Ken Goose, see if he wants to talk about that a little bit. On the tractor and their budget. Moving on. Last, I guess, how'd you feel about that? I mean, I didn't get to talk much about it last week, and I'm just curious to see where we stand after we saw their CEO and what kind of feel we got from it.
When we left last week, we had tentatively agreed to $20,000 as a placeholder. Because no one was really comfortable with going away from them, nor giving them the full amount. You know, from the conversation we had with them last week and moving into now, I think the biggest issue that we have is communication. Like I stated to the wonderful lady that come in here and took a meeting from us, you know, if we don't know what they're doing, we don't know, you know, I understand that there's some things that they can't not mention in public because NDAs and they're working out deals, but if we don't know what they've done or what they've had a party, and, you know, it looks to us as, well, we're giving you 40 grand and Johnson City's getting this, Washington County's getting this, where you're, you know, going to do a cleanup or doing this, but what ultimately is going to you know, as we've stated, you know, there are big regional efforts. Now you have to have a regional effort. You've got to have a regional effort. In my opinion, you've got to have a local county. So I think if we can get the communication squared away a little bit better, you know, I think that I don't know that they've necessarily done too bad a job. Definitely have, I think, done over what we initially estimated that they would have completed.
Only misgiving that I have with it is they're kind of misleading in the $1.6 million because everybody knows if you work in Johnson City, you stop over there, you get whatever it is you're underway on. I did.
No, don't do that. I mean, I wait till get the gas in Carter County.
Carter County doesn't have a sand,
So Aaron's for
Exactly, but I mean, and people that are going over there to eat or eat lunch there, they're not, I mean, it's just not feasible to drive back and stuff like that. So that's the only thing that's a little bit misleading in there, but I mean, other than that.
So, I mean, a little better feel.
Right, I think the presentation was a lot better. It gave me a little bit more insight on what they have done, what they are planning on doing, so.
Well, Mitch, he should have never sent that lady here in the first place last week. I felt sorry for her, but he did, and I told him, I said, I hope you're taking her to lunch, or you guys, you've done something.
We've done a shot at
Yeah.
It's like anything else, communication is number one, I don't care what it is, communication, and they were kind of, they were going to be wrong, they didn't bring it. They bring it to my office, we'll get it to you guys.
Yeah, and I understand that, like I said to Mitch, I think it's a two-way street here where we need to be a little accountable ourselves and maybe attend some more meetings or kind of step in and say, hey, we're part of this team. we want to have a say so. So
I
that's
know
what
you
it is.
mentioned they're having the bi-weekly meetings. I'm just curious if there's anyone that would want to attend those meetings.
Yeah,
For representation.
County,
I know, I mean, for Carter County.
I attend the quarterly, but
Yeah.
every other weekend.
It's
I mean,
I would be-
That's hard.
I would be willing to attend the every other week and come back and report, because he
That's
mentioned that Susan did it
the
before.
You know, I don't like everybody, but I still have to meet with people, and, you know, I mean, that's my job, so, you know, I kind of felt like because he had issues with the former administration, he just decided not to meet. Well,
And-
you know, they don't do business like that.
Tonight was the first time we've heard mention of this every other week meeting
That's
since
the second time that
September.
I've heard it, and I'd already mentioned that it needed, you know, we needed to have somebody there. And
You go, sir. You go, sir.
Maybe we can give them 35, that's what the city gives them, I don't know, maybe we can go with that, I'm not sure. But here's, you know, in my mind too, economic, community development, regional partnership, whatever, we need to fund somebody. It's either Chris Sugar's office or it's NetRep. I mean, somebody we need to be taken care of. We can't, I mean, if that's gonna be the thing that drives our county, outdoor tourism, whatever, I mean, jobs coming in, we can't let that go to the side. I mean, like you said, it's gonna take looking into the future, you know, and investing in the future.
We may give them 40, we cut it down to 20.
And
Well, we've talked about it.
part two is in June, it's a good, I don't know, we'll call it 50-50 shot that Carter County tomorrow dissolves. And at that point, over the next 6 to 8 months, you will see the revenue from
Rest.
up there start coming into the county, whereas it didn't before, and that is easily something that could continue to be used for that board for the community and economic development. And we can essentially just, I don't know, and I'm just shooting out of the side of my head here, and we'll see if it flies apart, but, I mean, we could end up giving that 40,000 to them and having them contract under NetRep, so that way they're actually working with our economic development board and NetRep are working directly together, rather than him having to show up at the commission and talk to 24 other people that, yeah, you know, about something that
They don't know about.
that they don't know anything about directly. And then part two of that is he's gonna have to come in and say, hey, we've got some stuff in the pipeline, we've got an NDA and I can't talk about it. So, and everybody's gonna be like, well, why can't you talk about it? Well, because of an NDA, so.
I spoke with Mr. Hartman today about it. He said we should support NetRep. He also said if we want, at least give them 20,000 reserve for economic development. We should put that money somewhere.
I mean, because we could easily make a budget amendment, after Carter County tomorrow dissolves to switch around how the money actually gets to NetRep, but we can go from there.
Fixed profit.
Let's talk to Chris real quick, he's got it.
Two things. Ackman will tell you, all Bob will take all your money. Just think about that, okay? Second thing, the man stood right there and said Carter County didn't have anything to market. Did he not? All right. You know, for 3.5 years, they fiddled farted around over here, excuse my French, with Snap-on. We about lost our Snap-on. Whether y'all realize it or not, we about lost Snap-on. And all it took was go in and talk to the man that owns the property. Be honest with you. And work it out. I don't know that guy. You know, right now I've got international papers up here that's what they expand. City's not gonna help them. NetRep can't help them. It took me 7 months to get NetRep to finally meet me on Goodall's. Because they got mad because Mr. Goodall sold his 3 companies and didn't bring in to Washington County. And we stood right there. Did Mr. Goodall or not say? He got mad and he won't call me back because I didn't bring my jobs into Washington County. That's where he wanted them at. And I'm not saying I like News, don't get me wrong. I think well of them. I think well of all them people. But they're not here. But when a man that's over that tells you we have nothing to market, I say BS on that. We've always had some industry. Always. There've been tanneries, distilleries, twine, Sisal, all that stuff has always been here. Glove factories, Bloomer factory down there next to PG&Y, BD, so enough to remember that. But think about it, we've always had chair factory, furniture industry, sawmills that did furniture industry for Broy Hill and everything went across the mountain. So it's always been here. We have open spaces right now. If we had 20,000 square foot in the county, outside the city, in the county, we could put somebody in there today. I mean, the city's already ran, we've had one telecommunication company that's moved out of the county because they ran them out of the city. They didn't want to work with them. I'm trying to work with these guys up here to help them that does the HVAC, solar, and energy solutions. You know, and we got a whole lot of help, Mayor.
No.
Have we not made, have you not sat there and I make a phone call, and then you make a phone call, and they answer your phone call? Have we not sit there?
Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about NetRep. Have we not, you made a phone call, I made a phone call, and a certain commissioner made a phone call, and they answered the
Oh,
number?
yeah. I heard that, Rick, yeah.
Hey, but I have a big problem. I mean, this is my county. You know,
It's all of ours.
it's all of our county, but this is my county. And I've got a real huge problem when a man stands there who is born and bred Washington County boy, and I understand that, and we're all Carter County.
Now Mitch, he's not from around here.
But he's gonna move here.
But I'm saying,
Yeah.
but he's tied with Washington County. since he
You
come
see
out.
how much money they give him, where would your allegiance lie? Somebody's
They're gonna
giving
spend-
200,000.
But I'm not gonna ask you for a penny if I'm not gonna do a job.
And they're gonna spend $40-something to figure out a new name for the Tri-Cities.
Hell, they stood right there and lied to Miss Woodby the other day. Did they not, ma'am? They lied to you, didn't they? Okay. Hey, it's just, hey, and I'm not trying to say because I think it's wrong with them people, but I'm just, you got some big problems, and I walked in, and I told y'all this once. A guy from the state of Tennessee, economic development, a very young man, spent 72 hours straight with these individuals and thought the main guy couldn't speak English. He speaks 7 languages fluently. They thought he lived in Moraine all the time. He lives in Rochester, New York. Come on, and what did they do? Because they got so tore up, because they had a different skin color, that they basically didn't appease them, so they just walked off. And they went to Kentucky.
Chris, is the property up there where the double bridge is, Markham? I mean, can we build anything on that? Or anything, the property on the left going toward the double bridge is going toward him?
That Summers Taylor owns?
Is that who owns it?
Yes.
I thought they talked about schools years ago, about putting a school up
Yeah,
there.
but well, that's something else you guys gotta realize too. Sewer and utilities, the sewer is your main utility, that has to be regional. We're working with Mr. Goodall and Watauga Regional Water Authority to do a regional sewer plant there. That's gonna open up stuff around our lake that needs to be done. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but, you know, but it's whatever you guys want to do. And I'm not here for conversation, but I just want, but Alibaba is a
This is
thief.
stuff we need to know, and a lot of this stuff.
Ross,
coming.
Alibaba is a thief, basically. All right, and Ottman's just some guy.
I don't know that.
All right.
I tell you, we
Do
had.
that.
My only thing is, and, you know, I'm not there. All we can go by is what Chris reports, what the mayor reports, and what, you know, what they're all reports. I'm not there. However, whether it's NetRep, or whether it's something between Johnson County, Unicoi County, and us, whether it's something between us and Kingsport, or Johnson City, or Washington County, or whomever, we have to have some regional something. And, you know, right now, NetRep provides that. Elizabeth looks out for Elizabeth, because that's ultimately who Elizabeth has to take care of. It just so happens that Elizabeth is in Carter County. That's their job, just like it's our job to take care of Carter County. So we have to have, you know, there's 3 different fronts that you have. You have regional, you have, I think, in my opinion, multi-regional. If you start looking at us versus Unicoi and Johnson, and then you look at, you know, Unicoi on the other side, Johnson City, Washington County, Kingsport, Jonesboro, that way. And then you have, you know, the Elizabeth side, and you have the Carter County side. Mitch may not know that we have a 20,000 square foot facility somewhere, but we do. Carter County does. Well, but his job is regional. But also,
Well, we need to market ourselves, I mean, that's our job to say, hey, Mitch, look what we got, or whoever.
But, you know, if he did have issues with the prior administration, and some different things. And no one, you know, not everybody was copacetic with everything that was going on. Then maybe he didn't. Maybe they didn't tell him. Don't know, wasn't there. But, I mean, it's just something that, I don't care if it's net rep, I don't care if it's something that we create on our own, but I mean, we have to look at this region, you know.
But I don't think he said he had an issue with the previous administration. I think he said the previous administration didn't need to meet with him. He wasn't that he had an issue with him.
Well,
It was, that's what he said.
I know, he also said that Susan came to all of their meetings
Right.
before. we got off.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the previous administration shared information. But my point is this, is we have to have our stuff together and we have to provide some sort of front at either a regional level and a local level. The only person that ultimately cares about us is us.
So, I guess I'm confused. The board that the mayor sits on, the Joint Economic Development Board,
Could be
what is the purpose?
state law. But it's supposed to do that. That's the whole.
We have all this representation on all these boards, but where's the purpose? What's happening with the boards? I mean, we're just showing that meeting, talking, and everybody leaves.
It originally was being taken care of by Carter County Tomorrow, and since they started winding down, so we're not putting as much effort into it. And then the mayor's board can't really put anything into it until Carter County Tomorrow kind of goes away.
But mayor, your board is still considered a regional board, correct?
What mayors are on there? Kurt
So it's regional
Alexander?
representation,
The
basically.
net trap, you're talking about the net trap county, technically.
Right. No, it's not Johnson City.
No, but
It's just Carter County. It's just Carter County and the cities within Carter County, that's all it is. Every county has to have it. And if we don't have one, we cannot receive state grants. So it was set up with a zero budget, zero funding. You show up quarterly, by state law, you have a meeting quarterly, just so we can apply for grants.
So it's
That's all.
basically a mandate.
It's never been set up as a board with money to do anything, but that's what it's for. It's an economic development board. So if you funded it, then yeah.
If we fund it.
It could be,
Yeah.
what, it could be economic development.
Regional, it's still local.
It's gonna be a local.
It's just Carter County.
that's your chance for all your different cities and your partnership with the county to develop, to push at your county and city level. That's what it allows those pathways. That's why you have a representative from Johnson City and Watauga and Elizabeth.
Those are all
to be able
cities
to
in
do.
Johnson County.
Right. So that, in theory, should be your push.
That should be your starting.
But again,
That's the local piece. That's the local
That's your
piece.
local.
Net rep could be regional, but whatever you want to do. But yeah, that is the local Carter County board.
That's what brings your city planning, parks and rec, all that stuff with economic development, with the Carter County community development, and then you build your plan. But, you know, with consideration that the city cares about the city and the county cares about the county, and together you do joint effort.
And the money that was going to Carter County Tomorrow was what was supposed to be going for economic and community development. And they were taking the lease fees received from Great Lakes to fund that. And then so,
On top of your 19,000 plus hotel motel tax for your community
Yeah.
economic
So-
development towards.
we actually have a board already created that we can fund once that money comes in. And that's why I said,
41,000 right now.
we what?
Annually, we receive 41,000 from,
Okay.
Great Lakes.
from Carter County Tomorrow, yeah.
And so, but it's gonna be more than that once we actually get it back.
It'll be whatever comes in.
So, and then, so that's gonna be the opportunity to fund
So
that.
that would be all through the funds board that you currently sit on.
That was what I was saying earlier, that we may want to give the money, instead of giving it directly to NetRep, we give it to the Economic Development Board that we have and go from there.
All right. Anything else? Let's, before we go real quick, before we adjourn, Brad has, our friend Brad has an important surgery tomorrow. And let's certainly all remember him and keep him in our thoughts and prayers. We're pulling for you, Brad. And I hope everything comes out good. Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
You're second. All in favor, say aye.